sun is shining outside the studios where I am this morning, so I think it's time for a little holiday adventure. Travel restrictions in most places now relaxed. Scotland is once again welcoming visitors. Foreign travel still up in the air though. So staycation is the buzzword this summer. Every Friday we're exploring what different parts of our own country have to offer. Helping us do that every week is Kim Grant, outdoor photographer and tourism influencer. Morning, Kim.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
I am good. You took me last week and the listeners to one of my favourite places, East Lothian, this week. We are heading north this week and we're getting on a ferry as well. Where are we going?
We certainly are. This week we're off up to the Orkney Isles.
How would you sum that up for us in a nutshell?
Well, Orkney is just one of these incredible places. It's like stepping back in time. So, if you're going up to Orkney, you're looking for a nice historical trip with a lot of wildlife and just getting away from it all. It really has got so much to offer.
It is, and for a photographer like you, I mean, every place that you turn is an amazing view, isn't it?
100%. We were in Orkney for a week last year between both the lockdowns, and I was absolutely mesmerised by it. There's so much incredible historical monuments to photograph, loads of lighthouses, which of course is my favourite, and amazing coastal beaches and views. There was endless opportunities for photography.
And just so much space as well. So what we do every week, you and me, is we slice this up into different family groups, who it's good for. So let's maybe start with the wee ones here. Young families. What have they got to do there?
Yeah, so of course I think children and young families enjoy a nice trip away on a ferry. So I think even just going to Orkney in itself is quite exciting for children. But if we're going to kind of whittle it down to 3 exciting places, the first one I'd recommend is Where Beach by Stromness. So children obviously love a day out at the beach, but this beach in particular is a great place for young kids because it's a great place to connect with nature, and it's also an incredible place for beachcombing. This beach in particular, after certain stormy weather, you can get some incredible things washed up here, and in the past people have discovered stuff being washed up from as far afield as Canada and the Caribbean. So just having a little exciting morning or afternoon out with your kids beachcombing, it can just be incredible what they can discover there. So I think that's a great opportunity there for children. And secondly, children love wildlife, and there's a wildlife centre called Fern Valley Wildlife Centre in Orkney, and this is the most northerly wildlife centre in the UK, and it offers a loving and safe home for unwanted and exotic animals, which I think children would just love to go and experience. So they've got everything there from geckos to snakes, mice and meerkats, and they run daily talks, feeding, viewing and meet and greets with the animals, which of course children would love. And thirdly, if you kind of want to get away from the mainland of Orkney and go to one of the smaller islands, on the Isle of Burry, there is a Orkney Fossil and Heritage Centre, which is home to a number of fossils from both Orkney and around the world. So of course this will allow children to connect more deeply with the past and get their imaginations running wild.
Excellent. The wee ones are sometimes the easy ones, aren't they? Because they'll just come along with you. It's the teenagers that are slightly more challenging on these staycations. What have they got to do?
Yeah, they definitely can be, but I think Orkney's got a few good options there for them. So I think teenagers quite often like to be creative, and many of them are interested in jewellery and artwork. So one thing I'd probably suggest here is there's a creative Orkney trail where you can go around and see a variety of different artists and creative work. So Orkney, a lot of artists there are very inspired by the landscape and their history and heritage. So there's a large variety of creative people up there, and you can go on this trail and visit many workshops, studios, shops and galleries that's home to jewellers, painters, pottery, woodwork and photography. And I think for teenagers it will keep them busy and just give them something exciting to go and explore there. And I think teenagers probably would maybe rather be going abroad than staying in Scotland. So one thing that's quite good here is to take them somewhere that may remind them of abroad. And in Orkney, there's the Italian Chapel, and this place is just incredible. It was created by Italian prisoners of war, and it's a stunning gem, and it's got so much beauty involved in it. When you go there, you really feel like you're stepping back, or not stepping back, but stepping into an Italian chapel. It really feels like you are abroad. So you get this real sense of what it might be like to be in Italy. So I think that's a great place there to take teenagers to kind of like I say, make them feel like they're somewhere else. And thirdly, from an educational point of view, I think it can be quite good to remind sort of younger adults and teenagers of sort of the luxuries that we have nowadays. And Orkney's obviously got a lot of history and heritage involved with it. And a great place, I think, to take teenagers might be Skara Brae, which is one of Europe's best preserved prehistoric settlements that dates back 5,000 years. And here they'll get a real sense of what life used to be like and how basic really it was, you know, back in the olden days, which will really give them a sense of perspective and how lucky we are in the modern day world.
Oh, absolutely. Food and drink, we'll come on to in just a second, but let's talk adventure now. My couple of trips to Orkney, I know you're spoiled for choice there, aren't you?
100%. And one thing I never realised until I went over last year was that Orkney is a really well-known scuba diving site. So after the war, a number of warships were sunken at Scapa Flow. And because of that, Orkney has become home to one of the best shipwreck diving sites in the world. So if you're into your scuba diving or you want to learn how to do it, there's a cracking diving school which offers a number of training courses for both beginners and more experienced divers where they can guide you through this incredible shipwreck environment. And they also offer kind of snorkeling trips as well for those who may not want to go underwater itself. And, you know, sticking with the theme, the sea theme here, of course, with Orkney being a cluster of islands, getting out and about to explore them can be really exciting. And there's the Sea Kayak 59 Degrees North, which is a company that offer fully guided kayak adventures around Orkney, which obviously allows you to explore the cliffs, beaches and wildlife from the sea and learn all about the island's history and heritage as you go. And for those who maybe want to stay more on land and not be out in the water too much, I'd highly recommend having a day trip over to Hoy. And from here, you can walk out to the incredible Old Man of Hoy, which is one of the largest sea stacks in Britain. It's 137 metres tall. And the walk out to it is just absolutely spectacular. We did it last year and we were blown away. So yeah, that's just something exciting there to do if you want a little day adventure away from the mainland.
Imagining it right now. Let's wrap it up with food and drink. Just one of the best places, Orkney, isn't it?
It certainly is. And of course, you know, being an island, they're very kind of self-sufficient up there. And a lot of what they do comes from the land. So I'm sure many of you will know that some of the supermarket brands that you really enjoy, you know, there's not a lot of Orkney products in there. You get Orkney cheese and Stockings oat cakes as well. So being able to go up to Orkney and to be able to sample these foods that we may know and love in our supermarket from the actual place that they were created, I think is just a fantastic thing to do. You really get a sense of, you know, that locally sourced produce there and how all these ancient kind of traditions of creating things go about. And of course, most shops and visitor centres up in Orkney sell these locally made food and drinks. And if you're into your alcohol, I'd highly recommend the Orkney Brewery. This is an award-winning visitor centre which is situated in an old Victorian schoolhouse. And their craft was born from Orkney's history and traditions, and their brewing process, of course, comes from traditional methods. So they offer brewery tours as well as have a tasting hall to sample their famous beers. And if you've got children, because it used to be an old Victorian schoolhouse, they've recreated many activities for children to do while you're undergoing your tour, which can keep them occupied. And finally, of course, if you're going over to somewhere like Orkney, you want to sample its local food and drink and go out and about in the evening. So the Foveran restaurant with rooms just outside